What's going on, guys? It's Sam, the Raid Man. We've got a controversial video for you today. Today, I'm going to talk about, in my personal, humble opinion, after playing Raid for about 5 years, since 2020, the 10 most overrated legendaries in the game. Now, let me clarify a few things off the bat before you guys start going to the comments and typing. It's my list. Second of all, it's my opinion. I'm not saying these champions are all terrible. I'm saying they're overrated, in my opinion. I'm telling these are champions I've heard hyped about or people talk about like they're this level, and they're just not at that level. So for example, if I say champion A is a top 10 champion in the game and I test him out and he's a top 25 champion in the game, but definitely not a top 10 champion, that is overrated. Top 25 champion, still amazing, just not top 10, right? So that's just the ground rules here. So we're gonna talk about no order, just the top 10, in my opinion, most overrated legendaries in the game. And these are champions that I've tested either on my account or on other people's accounts. Again, in no order. So first champion I'm gonna talk about, I have tested so many times. I have the champion. I still use this champion on occasion. He's not part of any of my regular teams, but I do like him. And that's gonna be Underpriest Brogni. Again, great champion. I'm only gonna say that a few more times. Just my biggest gripe with him. So he's got block debuffs, increased attack, shield, growing shield. We know this was nerfed. It's been nerfed multiple times now. Corpulent Cadaver was nerfed. There's now a shield cap in the game. HP burn on the A1, and then reflects shield damage. He's a cool champion. My issue with him is, where do you use him? He's one of the best clan boss block debuff champions because he does 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Him, Riho, Bone Spear, and a few other champions. There's not many Cardial, not many champions that do that. So sure, he's good for that, but I have him and I don't use him anywhere. He's just not in-game viable, I don't think. And there's not really anywhere that he helps you with. You'll see a theme with a few of the champions here. Raid is kind of, especially in PvE, going away that's like everything needs to be fast. We're trying to clear stuff fast. How fast can I beat stuff? So I'm going to, Spider Hard 10, and I'm saying, how fast can I beat this dungeon? And, Underpriest Brogni, sure, it could be good here, but that's not what this dungeon, that's not how we fight this dungeon, right? We fight this dungeon, how fast can we beat it? How fast can we kill it? And champions that help you survive aren't as good for that. And Brogni used to be also good in the arena. It looks like my Newt is too slow, or my Ignatius is too fast. This team doesn't even work. Ignore this. Either way, 21 seconds. Everything needs to be fast, and Brogni doesn't help you do anything fast. That's kind of the point. Similar to that, a guy who used to solo a lot of stuff, it's like, yes, he can solo things, but he doesn't help you anywhere, and he's not in-game viable. That's Bad-el-Kazar. He used to be a top 5 champion in the game. He's still cool. He does some small healing on the A1, does some poisoning and healing and cleansing. But again, this is where are you using this, right? Like, can be good in clan boss, sure. It's not, unless you're trying to solo, Ice Golem or Dragon for a tournament. I don't know why you would need to do that. I don't know why you would do that to yourself to solo when it just takes such a long time. Okay, next up is going to be a very, very niche champion. And again, great at what they do, kind of, but just so niche. And that's Nekhret. Nekhret is like, he was a top 5 arena champion for a long time, and he's still great. He's just falling a lot with people like Narcisse and Georgid and people just ignoring what he does. He's just basically an ally protector, and he does a lot of like protection for one individual person on your team. And he's cool, and he's really good at it. You put him with like, a Baron or someone who's like squishy but does a lot of damage, he can keep them alive. But there's a lot more counters to him now, and he never gets used outside of the arena. So it's like a super niche arena champion, and he's not as top tier in the arena. So again, fine, good champion, not near the level that he's rated or talked about. Next up here is one that I have tried so many times to like, and I just cannot get myself to like him, and it's Hurndig. This is probably one of the more controversial ones. I see so many videos and so many teams that have Hurndig. I've built him out. I think mine's +1. He doesn't hit that hard. He needs a lot of accuracy. He needs a lot of stats. It feels like he's trying to do too much, and I can't get him to really do anything. Maybe my gear is just not god tier enough, but again, I'm very, very in game. A lot of champions I have just doing way more damage than him. And yeah, I don't know. The kit seems cool. I've just never gotten the results out of Hurndig that I want to. So maybe that's a personal thing, but I personally think he's overrated. Next up is a champion I remember I was super excited to pull. People were like, she's amazing, she's top tier. And I was like, I don't know if I've ever used her consistently. Like, I've tried her out for sure. That's Lady Kimi. She's the queen of speed. Sure, I used Shuzen or Siphi, or even Arbiter over her in most situations. So she's doing, and she's like, oh, she's a Hydra champion. My biggest issue with her in Hydra is she removes a random buff from an enemy and then places block buffs on enemies who have buffs removed. So this only works if you take a buff from them. So if they have no buffs, she doesn't place block buffs. So then she's kind of kind of what you get from Eastrid, where she's doing increased speed, increased accuracy, and then decreased accuracy, decreased speed on the enemies. And she does do some turn meter stuff. Whenever they get debuffed, she lowers their turn meter, which doesn't work in Hydra. She's got way too many debuffs nowadays for her. She used to be really good in Arena, but Arena Polymorph has kind of taken away her usefulness, and she doesn't do any damage. She's got Doom Tower battles. I feel like she doesn't know what place she needs to be in. She's like should be a specialist, but she's just kind of not. All right, now this is going to be the biggest name on the list. So let me clarify something. Great champion. I was underwhelmed, am underwhelmed. And I think if you're one of the people that wants this champion, I couldn't wait to have this champion, you will be underwhelmed. It's not to say that they don't have uses or that they're not good. But if they say they're here, and I think they're here, we're talking overrated. And that's going to be Yumeko. Now bear with me for an explanation before you bite my head off. It's all about the dance of time. Decreases the cooldown of ally skills and increases the cooldowns of all enemy skills. First of all, let's talk Arena. I have Warlord. Warlord is better. There are other champions like Night Queen Crixia. Basher does it by 2 turns. Alice is going to do it by 2 turns. It's a long cooldown, so you don't necessarily win unless you're going to win fast. And in Arena, you typically do not get much use out of the decrease the cooldown of your skills. You're typically just getting the usage out of their block skills. So let's say I have a very simple team. Arbiter goes first. Into Yumeko, locks them out. Then I've got a Buff Stripper and a Nuker. That's a pretty common team, something like that. I will lower the cooldowns of my Arbiter's first ability, like the increased turn meter, increased attack ability. And that's it. That's the only benefit I get from her decreasing the skill cooldowns. So in this instance, I would much prefer a Warlord who puts skills on complete cooldown and decreases their turn meter, which almost guarantees, and his is on a much shorter cooldown, that he will get back to his blockout ability before they get back to their abilities. So one of the biggest use cases for her is double Yumeko, which is insane that that's even a counter argument, is, oh, this Void Legendary is good because if you have 2 of this Void Legendary, then she becomes broken. Sure, she can reset herself with another Yumeko, and it's insane. But again, also kind of recently nerfed with the Trunda nerf. I know it's still kind of a nerf, still a whole hot button issue, but I know people are like, I'm all in for Yumeko. I spent $300 in shards on Yumeko, and it's just not, she's not that great. Kymar is, I have 4 Kymars built that I use. I have 1 Yumeko, and I kind of use her. Like, she's not as good as everyone says. Trust me on that. Now, Yumeko and this champion are the reason I made this list, and I knew it was going to be controversial. I'm willing to take the heat for this. I saw in a video where someone said this champion is better than so-and-so because you can just use them everywhere and you will get use out of her. I disagree. Marichka. She's great. I would be stupid to say that she's not great. I have Marichka. I don't have Taras. I hear so many times like, oh, Marichka is better than Taras. Taras you wouldn't even use everywhere. I completely disagree. Maybe it's because grass is always greener. I don't have Taras. I do have Marichka. I think I would use Taras everywhere. I think he would replace my Seer in all my wave clearing. I think he would replace my Harima, or at least go alongside my Harima in my arena teams. I think he would go into my Hydra teams. Potentially he can go into your clan boss teams because he can extend buffs, which is crazy. And if I have Marichka, obviously they're insane together. Now I guess the conversation is really if you have one and not the other. I think Taras way better. Now I will say this, if you get Marichka early game, like level 50 and below, or you have a ton of epics, 1 legendary in Marichka, then yes, she's insane. She's got a speed lead, which is helpful. Ally attack on the A1, which is nice. Her kit is great. And my biggest knock against Marichka is she doesn't help you do anything better except for the arena. She can help you in Amius or Ice Golem, or if you're super under leveled, she can help you anywhere, like Dragon. Like, oh, I'm just going to get nuked by the Dragon, Marichka will pop us back up, and then we'll keep going. Like, you can use her like that. It's not efficient, and again, the game's going towards faster. There's nowhere in the game that she helps you beat anything faster. Arena, she is great. I will give you that. It's weird. It's kind of a strange team, but she is great in the arena. I will completely give you that. The block damage is super annoying for poison. She's a good counter to Gizmak. I'm not a super big arena PvP guy. I know she's great there, but again, she to me is nowhere close to like a top 5 legendary, and that's where she gets that conversation. And I just think Taras, the disrespect is crazy. I think he is significantly better than her. I think he is useful everywhere in the game. I think my super in-game account would benefit from Taras. I don't think my account has really benefited from Marichka. Feel free to let me know in the comments and roast me, but that's my opinion. Next up, another one is another one that I kind of think doesn't have a place. I think this is a great champion. Again, early game, you're great. Just kind of falls off in the end game and don't really know where to use him. And it's Ragash. I love the Tiger. He nukes. He's like one of the hardest hitting defense-based champions. His kit, to me, has got too much going on. He's perfect veiling the person with the highest attack, but that's weird, right? Like, he is not gonna be the one with the highest attack, so he's not protecting himself, he's protecting someone else, but then he's a damage dealer. But then he's a damage dealer that has strength and increased speed, perfect veil, which is good. It just doesn't seem like he knows his role. So is this a support champion or a damage dealer? And then again, you also need accuracy because you want to place a decreased defense in the stun. That either doesn't help you in arena or hurts you in arena because you don't want to get place debuffs for polymorph unless you're bringing him in as a decreased defense champion, maybe with accuracy and resistance, but then you're not going to have enough damage stats for him. He does hit hard. I don't know. I think I've got a +1 Ragash. I don't know. Maybe it's just one, but no, it is +1 Ragash. And I just can't find benefit from him. I can't find a place to use him. He's nowhere near the level of like a Harima or an Alaz or Marius in terms of damage and decreased defense. I mean, I guess he can stun, so you can use him as a stunner on a 3-turn cooldown. That's probably his best use case. But yeah, I just don't think he's realistically that level of a nuker. I think if you're using him as a nuker, you're missing out on probably the value of his kit, which I think is overstated. That's one that I'm not as opinionated on. I could be convinced, I think, but right now that's how I stand. Super quick announcement. Got some pretty exciting news from Plarium. I now have my own promo code. So if you want to start a second account, or if you want to start your first account, if you've never played Raid before, you can use this link code to download the game. I showed this in one of my videos, but basically if you use this code, it will give you a free Karato Fox Hunter and 3 epics, Fane, Romero, and Vergis. And here it is, but I'll go ahead and put this in the description of my video. If you use this, you would get, like I talked about, the legendary champion from the Shadowkin faction, Karato Fox Hunter, who's a good damage dealer and pretty good control. A great kickstart if you want to start a new account, or like I said, if you just want to start a second account, you can also pair this code with the Monkey King code or the Superpowers code and get one of those great champions as well. And now this is one that I'm going to talk about. I think this is a great champion, but they are pigeonholed into one very, very particular area, and that's Varl the Destroyer, who I think is good. I tested Varl a long time ago in Demon Lord Clan Boss because I was like, oh, his passive stacks, it's kind of like Ninja, that's pretty cool. And then turns out he's really, really, really good for Hydra. But he's really, really, really good for Hydra when you have an insane build, an insane team, typically a 5 or 6 star, crushing Rend on him. He is very, very good. To me, Ninja is head and shoulders better, but he's very, very good. Where else do you use him? Because he's a Hydra specialist who is, I would argue, one of many in his caliber. And I just think people get a little too crazy when they talk about Varl. Lastly, this is, I would say he was talked about as one of the top champions of the game for a while, one of everyone's most wanted champions, and he has fallen off a cliff. I cannot remember the last time I heard this champion's name mentioned, and that is Kalvalax. I have Kalvalax. I actually have 2 Kalvalax, which people used to say was insane. He's the poison guy. Right? Speed aura, places poisons, enemy max HP. It's a really bad enemy max HP ability. He's in some dragon teams. He's in some ice golem teams with Theodore, but Theodore clearly steals the show. You can even replace him with like a Taurus or a Tomb Lord, although he does it a little bit better. He kind of just, he seems, any team he see him in, he plays second fiddle. Azavia or Elenarl. He's a cool addition, but not a necessary addition. And that's just kind of it. He's just dungeon speed running with other champions. So I have 2 Kalvalax. I don't have a Theodore, so I'd have to use him with maybe a stock could do it now. I don't even know if that's possible, or an Elenarl or a Xavia. So I just think cool kit, great design. I love that it was, from someone in the community who designed him. He looks awesome. Doesn't do as much poison as you'd expect besides like the initial burst. I try to use him as like a clan boss poisoner and really, really lackluster. Very strange ability here. Cool champion, but definitely overrated. Perhaps the ratings are falling back down towards Earth, and that's why people aren't talking about him, but that's just my opinion on Kalvalax. So I've rambled a lot. I've talked a lot. Hopefully you at least see where I'm coming on some of these champions. Let me know in the comments. Is there anybody I missed that you think is super overrated? And I'm sure you will let me know about the champions or how I'm wrong about some of these champions. But anyways, if I didn't piss you off too much, subscribe to the channel. We're making daily content 2025. Like the video, and I'll see y'all on the next one.